Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In part two of today's coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, I have a couple of additional info tidbits I want to talk about. New information is coming in, but first and foremost, I want to make a correction on the original prior content that I published in regards to the airstrike on the camp for displaced persons. I had said that they were Eritreans. In fact, they are Tigrayans that were attacked and killed in that attack on said camp in the northern areas of the Tigray region. So again, I'd like to make that correction. Secondly, we are starting to get additional news about the situation in Western Tigray, and we have been talking about for the last week now about how the Tigrayan Defense Forces have been crossing the Tikizi River in small elements and conducting operations in the western Tigray region. Again, information is difficult to get in this area, really in any area in the Tigray region at this point because of the Anaconda strategy implemented by the Abiy loyalists. But it would appear that the Amhara regional militias that occupy Western Tigray, the Eritrean army, and then elements of the Abiy loyalist federal formations are starting to have a very difficult time in supplying its forces. Again, the Tigrayan Defense Forces have continued to infiltrate into Western Tigray and are starting to, in some cases, isolate some of these strong points that have been set up in the Western Tigray region by the Amhara regional militias, by the Eritrean army, and the Abiy loyalist forces in Western Tigray. So again, while we're not seeing an all-out conventional attack by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, we are continuing to see more and more pressure being put on those opposition forces, the Abiy loyalists, the Amhara regional militias in Western Tigray. So again, the information we're hearing is that the supply situation is very stressful right now for the Abiy loyalists. It is very difficult to get supplies into Western Tigray at this point because of some of the operations being conducted by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And in fact, there has been chatter that we could start to see the withdrawal of forces of the Abiy loyalists, of the Amhara regional militias, and quite possibly the Eritrean army. And we could end up seeing where the Eritrean army is really isolated near Hamora. And we could start to see a general withdrawal of the Abiy loyalist forces, of the Amhara regional militias from the Western Tigray area of operations. And again, this is in large in part because of the operations being conducted by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Again, these are not large-scale conventional operations, but they are seeking to cut off the supply ability of the Amhara regional militias and the Abiy loyalists that are operating in Western Tigray, especially near Adi Ramitz. Again, the forces of the Abiy loyalists located in Adi Ramitz and other areas in Western Tigray are finding it more and more difficult to supply its forces within the Western Tigray area of operation. So again, at some point, we could possibly see the complete and utter withdrawal of the Abiy loyalist forces from the Western Tigray region and give the Tigrayan Defense Forces access to that much-needed border with Sudan. And then obviously that would leave finally the Eritrean army to hold out in Hamora, and we could see additional Eritrean activity again if Eritrea withdraws from the Western Tigray region. This conflict was all for naught for the regime of Isaias Afwerki, and quite frankly, for the regime of Abiy Ahmed as well. So again, the initial war games, the initial war goals, the war aims by the Abiy Ahmed regime, by the Isaias Afwerki regime, once and if Western Tigray is secured by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, we are back to status quo. And at the same time, you have now a fully mobilized Tigrayan Defense Forces. So the Abiy Ahmed regime simply kicked a hornet's nest, was then evicted from the Tigray region, and then eventually, quite possibly, evicted from Western Tigray, and at a cost of immense loss of life, immense treasure, and for both sides. That's the Eritrean army and the Abiy loyalist formation. So again, if we do see a unilateral withdrawal from Western Tigray, then all the war goals and war aims of the Abiy loyalist formations have basically been defeated. Again, none of those war goals or war aims, which we saw were the intent to defeat the Tigrayan Defense Forces, that did not happen. And then obviously to secure the TPLF leadership and imprison or kill them, and we have seen that not happen as well. So again, none of the war goals nor war aims of the planned invasion of the Tigray region that was quite literally a year in the making would be all for naught with the securing of Western Tigray. But again, we are hearing information that would indicate that some forces in Western Tigray are preparing to withdraw. And again, it is due to the fact that some of these forces in Western Tigray, the Abiy loyalist formations, the Amhara regional militias, are having difficulty now supplying its forces as more and more TDF units infiltrate into Western Tigray and start to cut off and isolate these military camps and units in Western Tigray. But more to come. We're watching this very, very closely and see what happens in terms of the possible eviction of those forces from Western Tigray. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day, everybody.